In a world of demons and calamity, a virgin runt named Kazuya can't help but be the main attraction for different women. He gets to be the master of a yukai, and spends the rest of his days fighting demons, and trying not to be deflowered at such an early age. Episode 1. Kazuya wakes up from a bad dream when he places his hands on Chisato's melons, giving this anime the best start I've seen in a while. She knocks him to the floor where he grabs a look at her undergarments as well, and Chisato continues her beatdown. Two of his classmates, Osamu and Shiro, just watch him get abused, with Osamu saying he would pay for that. It's raining depraved boys in this class. Kazuya survives the beatdown and goes to the roof to recall his dream when he notices a wig that latches onto him. He hears a voice from nowhere that calls the wig an amasogi, basically a demon. The wig knocks him off the roof, and the credit scenes roll out. I wish. He gets saved by his mother's scarf, which takes the form of a blue-haired girl named Kiriha. The girl calls herself a Tsugumomo, which is basically an object that has gained a soul. She tries to kill Kazuya for not remembering her when they get interrupted by a girl who has become the host of the demon wig. So he's dying either way. Kiriha defeats the possessed girl and destroys the wig. She tells Kazuya that the wig became possessed because of the classmates' feelings for him, and mentions that it's a boy, not a girl. He would have been violated in unspeakable ways. Kazuya heads home to his sister, who has an obsession with wanting to share a bath with him. This guy has the spotlight, but there are no boundaries for him. Damn. Inside his room, he suddenly finds Kiriha lying down beside him and lets out a huge scream. His sister rushes to his rescue, but he slam dunks Kiriha behind the bed before his sister discovers anything. Then he realizes the girl is the soul of the scarf his mother gave him. Took him long enough. This piece of silk feels Kazuya is her servant and tells him to get her some pudding and sweets. He goes on the errand and gives them to her, then heads down to have dinner with his crazy sis. Kazuya tries to distract his sister from the chaos Kiriha is causing upstairs, but she thinks her brother finds her attractive and asks if he wants to get married to her. I don't know how long he managed to survive in that house with her. After dinner, he goes to shower and finds Kiriha inside already. Another score for him today. Kiriha doesn't mind and asks him to wash her back while she does the same for him. It's all innocent until she decides to play with his windpipe, which leaves him traumatized. After that, they go to bed and he struggles to sleep while Kiriha is all over him. Episode 2. Kiriha woke him up the next day with a big stomp on his third leg that left even me in great pain. He got to school late and became a punchbag for Chisato, who was chewing him out for it. Apparently, Kiriha smashed his alarm clock, which made him wake up late, so he repaid her by tying her up in a box when she transformed into her sash form. Shiro discusses the rumor of the amasogi. He lets his thoughts wander and mouth as well, showing how much of a depraved fool he is by cooking up crazy scenarios. Chisato overhears the conversation and smacks all three of them. Kazuya and Osamu didn't even do anything. Kazuya realizes there's no time to finish his report as Chisato reminds them, and he asks to copy Osamu's own. Chisato reveals her demon energy and drags off the poor boy to go do it himself. They're in the library when she remembers how she used to help him study when they were younger. She asks if she could come over again to get some good loving. I mean to help him study, but he turns her advances down. Stupid boy. Kazuya goes to return some books when he sees Kiriha, who uses his face for whack-a-mole practice. Kiriha tried to go back to class, but the doors were locked off, including the windows, which left them trapped. The perfect time for her to get that action in. Kiriha reveals herself to them, and Kaoya takes off with her body immediately. She beats him to a pulp for leaving her behind, and tells him that they're trapped because of another demon. His questions only result in more whacking, unfortunately. Kiriha tries to help them, and gives them some bells that would react when they are close to the amasogi. It didn't take long before she resorted to violent means to break out of the barrier, but it just got bigger. She found out the whole study was the demon and got into a fight with the books, kinda like me back in school. They defeated the demon when they found out it was born from Chisato's desire to tutor Kazuya at his place. Talk about obsession. Chisato comes to Kazuya's house the next day and finds him in bed with Kiriha, not the sight she was expecting. Later, she apologizes for what happened at the library, and Kiriha tells them that the major cause is something called malison. It's something like the root of creation that reacts to people's will. She also tells them the high density of malison is the fault of the local god named Kukuri. Episode 3. Kazuya heads to school the next day, where he gets a flying kick from Shiro immediately. Shiro met Kukuri's servant, Kokuyu, who mistook him for Kazuya earlier and was mesmerized by her huge melons. Being the fool he was, he took out on a date, and she ordered a kingdom's worth of food and finished it. Shiro lost every single cash and was now in debt to Osamu as well. That should teach him a lesson. Meanwhile, Kokuyu was standing on the school roof as her belly rumbled while she waited to meet Kazuya. Shiro challenges him to an arm wrestling match with their lunch on the line, considering he's just a poor fool now. Just then, the whole class went haywire because everyone was looking for their food. The woman with an abyss for a stomach, and the culprit of the situation, Kokuyu, barges into the class and asks for Kazuya. Shiru demands his money back, or for an opportunity to fondle her. Kokuyu tells him that she has no money and is free to do as he pleases, but as he rushes towards her melons, he gets knocked out by a sniper shot from Chisato. Kiriha takes her human form to prevent Kazuya from being taken away, but just gets insulted by Kokuyu. She then challenges her to an arm wrestling match to settle the matter. The rest of the students seem to be taking this well and haven't said anything. They get to the roof to start their match and have changed into very skimpy volleyball uniforms thanks to the down badge Shiru. The match starts, and it's not your regular arm wrestling, more like a one-handed fight session. Kiriha beats the milkwoman and has to be taken alongside Kazuya to the shrine. They get to the Hakusan shrine and are greeted by Kukuri in a mask. She doesn't seem quite happy to see Kiriha, and the two of them get into a squabble like my nephews. Their senses come back and Kiriha asks why the seal on Kazuya is broken, but Kukuri tells her it's only just weakened and his memories are still sealed. Maybe he's some kind of overpowered god and not a virgin depraved idiot. Kukuri then asks Kazuya to become a malison cleaner, but Kiriha refuses vehemently. I guess it's some kind of janitor job. She tells him that he is the beacon that attracts the malison. Kiriha gets pissed off and tries to leave with him but gets blocked by a barrier. Okay, for the record, why is Chisato even with them in the first place? Kukuri decides to kill Kazuya and takes Chisato as a hostage. She and Kiriha get into a serious fight. Kiriha notices that Kukuri's powers are currently tied to the mask she's wearing and tries to break it but gets tricked and beaten. Kukuri then summons a large dome of water from the sky, leaving Kiriha and Kazuya with nowhere to run. Will they survive, or will this be their end? Episode 4. Luckily they survived thanks to Kiriha's defenses, but she couldn't hold out when Kukuri attacked them with the same spell again. They get drowned by the water, and Kazuya wakes up in a different place with a beautiful lady in front of him. The lady tries to crack a lame joke, but Kazuya just starts walking away. She stops him and says he needs to get stronger to protect Kiriha and free her from an old arrangement she's been bound by. Just who is this crazy lady? She tells him to use an ultimate attack and her true name to escape their predicament. That's quite the advice. He gets woken up by Kiriha, who wants to continue the fight. He calls her true name, Aya Sakura, which returns her to her sash form and uses her to take on Kukuri. He's a little bit rusty using her powers at first, but quickly gets the hang of it and can defend against the water serpent that the goddess summoned. Unfortunately, Kukuri caught Kiriha and left Kazuya with no choice but to accept the janitor job. Just then, Kukuri's mask cut, and she shrunk to a child's size. Kiriha used the opportunity to teach her one or two, while Kazuya just gazed, and was entertained by the two kids going at it. They entered the shrine, and the goddess told them the whole situation was just to get Kazuya to be able to use Kiriha, which made her beatdown continue. Kazuya dropped off Chisato on her street and carried Kiriha on his back to go home. Meanwhile, Kukuri and Kokuyu sat in their beaten-up shrine. Well, at least it has better ventilation now. Back in Kazuya's room, Kiriha tried to get him to go to jail by revealing her body, considering she was still shrunk like a child. He ended up having to bath her, and she teased him about how big his third leg must have grown. This is so weird. Later, he went to ask his sister for some smaller clothes if she still had them, but she got the wrong message and thought he was probably into little kids. I don't blame her, to be honest. He ended up getting some clothes from Osamu, who also concluded that was how Kazuya rolled. He got to the room and gave them to her, but the clothes were rather on the freaky side. Just what the hell is wrong with that Osamu kid? Episode 5. Kiriha has been unable to grow back to her normal form, so decides to train Kazuya to become a proper malison cleaner, as well as teach him how to handle an obi. His training starts, and this weak virgin can barely run for some time. They proceed to combat training, and all the skills he showed when he fought Kukuri were nowhere to be found. What a waste. They head back home and get in the shower. I guess this is a normal thing now. In a bid to explain how Tsukumogami are, Kiriha hugged her naked body on Kazuya's own, which alerted his little guy in the process, bringing him ever closer to serving life in jail. Meanwhile, Kiriha was trying to fix their rundown shrine, but didn't have the money to do it. She tried using her cute charm on the workers, but they just gave the roof some patching and ran away. So much for being a goddess. Kazuya continued some training back at home while the forgotten goddess tried to hold the shrine against a storm, but it was completely destroyed. Now she's just a homeless forgotten goddess. Kazuya's training continued the next day, and Kiriha just used him as a punch bag whether he did the right thing or not. The damn crazy girl. Kukiri, Chisato, and Kokuyu were watching him train when Kiriha told Kukuri that his feats before were a fluke. She headed back to her new shrine with them, which was just a kid's slide at a playground. How the mighty have fallen. Virgin Boy heads to the student council room the next day where he meets the president, Tadata. He also finds out Tadata was the one involved with the wig demon and was the one totally head over heels for him. They head to a club room that an RPG club has taken over. The president sent some people to reprimand them but came crying back because of monsters. Bunch of wimps. On their way, they meet Osamu, who further has a wrong impression when Kiriha says she's Kazuya's master. Stupid Obi isn't helping matters. They head back, but the structure of the hall has changed. A student named Nakajima steps out from one of the classes and asks the president to make the Tabletop RPG Association an official club. Tadata refuses, and Nakajima draws a minotaur on a sketchpad which comes to life and starts chasing them. They eventually got cornered, but Kazuya pulled out some sick moves and stopped the creature with a fire extinguisher. Nakajima was apprehended, and they told him to destroy the sketchbook himself, and he ripped it apart just like his dreams. He suddenly pulled out a hidden paper and summoned another minotaur, but Osamu had him beaten because he tricked him into tearing a fake sketchbook. Osamu summoned a dragon that took out the minotaur. In the manga research club room, Osamu drew a future image of Kiriha, which I feel was just to fulfill his fantasies. The image stomped the hell out of Kazuya's future children before the main sketchbook was finally destroyed. Poor kid. Episode 6. On the rooftop of the school, Kazuya spies on Chisato as she shatters the heart of a guy who professes her love to her. Back in his room when they are studying, he starts teasing her about it. This dude is really dense. Kiriha went into Chisato's bag to look for pudding and found an old-looking doll. In school the next day, Kazuya notices the place has turned into a love fest. Guys and girls all over each other, and he's still a single runt. A girl mistakenly bumps into him and gets a good view of her undergarments. Suddenly, a screen pops up in his face with options of a response to choose from. He obviously chooses a stupid one and gets smacked in the face. He gets into class and sees everyone with the same screens, and it's a madhouse. Kiriha tells him that a dating sim Amasogi is the one causing everything. Just what kind of demons do these people have anyway? He heads out to find the demon and sees Chisato all lovey-dovey with Hiroshi, the guy she just recently rejected. Quite the turn of events. He calls out to her, but she tells him not to talk to her like he knows her, and tells Hiroshi that she's scared. He tries to find out what Hiroshi did, but gets slapped by the woman who once loved him. Kiriha then tells him that Hiroshi is the owner of the Amasogi. He tries to confront him again, but gets whooped by a group of girls summoned by Hiroshi. I don't even know how to explain that. Kazuya turns to Osamu to help him. Osamu, the very weird boy, explains the full system of the game to him and what he has to do to win back Chisato. Kazuya goes forth to engage in the game and win back the heart of his woman with Osamu's guidance. It was going quite well till he flopped massively and was right back where he started. Back in the club room, Osamu tells him of a final risky bug in the game he could use to win Chisato's heart. Despite Osamu's weird nature, he's quite the wingman. Kazuya, with his last chance, disrupts Hiroshi's proposal and reminds Chisato of the doll game they played in their childhood and asks her to play with him. She snapped out of it and returned to her man, or so they thought. While in the school clinic, Kazuya was woken up from a nap by Chisato, who was naked and wanted to become one with him, if you know what I mean. Osamu found out it was the adult version of the game, and he, Kiriha, and Hiroshi rushed to destroy the Amasogi before Kazuya became a father. They made it just in time, but Kazuya would have to live with that memory forever. Episode 7. At Kukuri's playground shrine, Kiriha was letting her have it after she lied about the Malison levels being low. It was a complete wrestling smackdown, but they just looked like two kids fighting in a playground. Also, due to the goddess's incompetence, Kokuyu had now taken a full-time job to afford the repairs of the shrine and other expenses. You really can't escape capitalism. Kazuya came to stop the fight and went to buy pudding for Kiriha. Kiriha then asked Kukuri why her powers had depleted, but she wouldn't say. Back at Kazuya's house, the two girls are having a bath and Kiriha asks the question again, but the two of them just get into a fight and pass out. After that, Kukuri heads back to her joke of a shrine. During dinner, Kazuya is shocked when he sees Kiriha at the dinner table. She tells him that she's already acquainted with his family. She really did a number on his dad when he and his mom were younger, like some evil sister-in-law. Kazuya and Kiriha later go out to give some pudding to Kiriha when they find out her second shrine has been demolished. This goddess is actually suffering at the hands of humanity. Kazuya takes them back to his place where they would stay for the meantime. They head to Kanara Shrine the next day to borrow money from another goddess named Taguri. She lays out some game cards and says she'll loan out the money for pairs of cards they find. Kiriha finds out that the game is meant to satisfy some other interests Taguri has in little girls. Someone please call the police. Taguri got a pair and ended up violating Kukuri. Not too long after, the girls were subjected to different forms of assault that would put even me in trouble just for watching this show. Kiriha distracted Taguri by asking to be accompanied to the restroom, while Kukuri switched the cards. By the time they got back, Toguri had noticed the switched card, and the rule that said they weren't meant to touch cards if it wasn't their turn didn't help. They got the loan, but paid a heavy price in the process. Episode 8. Kiriha has taken over the house and wouldn't even let Kazuya's dad watch his sports show. Poor man ended up just listening to the radio. Kazuya's sister came and turned off the TV and told her to be useful like Kukuri, who was doing the dishes. The stupid bedsheet girl refused until she was denied any other form of pudding by the sister. Kazuya gets sent on an errand to get some supplies with the girls, and they lose all composure when they see the chocolates in the store. Kukuri manages to come back to her senses and helps out while Kiriha continues to be a waste. Kazuya eventually has to get her a cup of pudding when the whole store hears her singing. They saw an unreasonably long line at the checkout because everyone wanted a glimpse of Kokuyu's milk factory. They get home, have dinner, and the girls enjoy their desserts after. Kazuya gets to school the next day and sees Shiru has gotten a harem of all the girls in class. He questions Shiru to find out about the amasogi responsible, and the stupid boy reveals it's a magical cologne. The boys rush him like mindless zombies because they want a piece of the action too. They run away from the zombie apocalypse and hold out in a classroom till the following day. Bunch of depraved boys in the entire school, and for some reason, Osuma wasn't affected. The next day, Shiru reveals he read about the cologne in an adult magazine and tried using it when he asked a girl out. He got rejected because the girl found out he was just desperately asking anyone. How stupid can this dude be? Shiru tried to smash the bottle, but it bounced, and the contents of it poured on Kazuya. He became the man of the hour in the eyes of all the women in town. He got home to wash off but wasn't safe when the girls, including his sister, joined him in the bath. He was living the perfect ecstasy until he destroyed the bottle before they deflowered him. This made Shiro give a full stench as a repercussion for him not being the one to destroy the amasogi. Episode 9. Kazuya continues his training with Kiriha and Kukuri, and is taking more than he can handle. He gets to school and is so tired that he's ready to meet his maker. Kazuya, Chisato, and Osuma get called to the student council room where they see Tadata is now a bald fool. He lets them know that there's been a case of a dead girl, Naga, demanding stuff from some students. Now it's ghost stories. They investigate the matter and meet up with a girl named Nanakai who's ecstatic about the school being hunted. There's not a single person in this anime with a normal brain. While they're talking, the dead girl suddenly shows up and scares a student named Kosakabe. Kazuya rushed to try and capture her, but Naga got away. Kiriha called the amasogi a kamioni. I'm tired of these weird names. It's a demon born from the regrets that linger in the hair of the deceased, if that makes any sense. Kosakabe then tells them that Naga was probably bullied by the members of the Nishina fan club she was once a part of. The girls in the club were jealous that Nishina took an interest in Naga, and their leader, Muratsuki, was also the first to discover the dead body. Girls can be really scary. They went over the info, and a girl came in to tell them that Nago's sister was in the school but with a different family name. Kazuya rolled out to find the girl, and Ye rolled out actually. He got to the scene on time and stopped Nago from killing Muratsuki. The little sister, Nanako, came out and said she just wanted to know why her sister committed suicide. Muratsuki said she hid the suicide note because she feared it would implicate her. Such a stupid girl. She brought the note and it revealed that Nago suffered from an amasogi on her chest that always spoke her mind and said it would go when her wishes were granted. She thought when Nishina accepted her proposal it would go, but the voice said her younger sister had to die since she felt Nishina could be stolen by her. As I said, girls can be really scary. The demon's wish was to get the younger sister to feel like she should have died. Kazuya then got into a fight with the kamioni and defeated it, also surpassing his limitations. Kiriha cheered up Nanako and told her not to allow her sister's death to be in vain. Episode 10. Kazuya and the rest are reporting the incident to Tadata when Nanako walks in. She reveals she can't talk anymore thanks to the malice and atonement, and Kiriha says it's her fault. So mean. What's her issue? Kazuya suddenly gets attacked by a girl named Sunao on his way out of school. Sunao beats up both him and Kiriha to a pulp just because she's a lunatic. She says she came to test him and says he's not fit to replace Kanaka, his mother. Kazuya has a vision of her face, but still can't completely remember her. After that, they head back to his house to meet Kukuri. It was the stupid goddess who permitted Sunao to test him after she was told his mother had passed away. Sunao then challenges him to a duel because she feels the virgin boy isn't best suited to be a Malison cleaner. Can't believe she's fighting for a cleaner's job. Sunao lost her brother when she was younger, and I didn't know if that's what made her a hothead, or if she's just naturally insufferable. Out of anger, she took control of her brother's Tsukumogami, Kotetsu, and went to get revenge. On the way to her target, she sees Kanaka has already killed the demon and tries to attack her but gets knocked out. When she woke up, she told Kaneda how she had a vendetta against her brother's killer, and now Kaneda was her new target. She could never beat Kaneda before she passed, and wants to take over her job. Someone should kill this girl already. Sunao's words brought down Kazuya, and he was fed up with everything. Kiriha tried to cheer him up by taking off his clothes and clinging to him while she was naked as well. That wasn't what I was expecting. Kiriha was able to get back his confidence, and she grew back to her original size, which made the situation more awkward. They had a week to think up a plan to defeat Tsunao. Kazuya's sister and Kukuri came into the room and saw them in quite the adult position. They dragged Kiriha away immediately before the virgin boy had any chance. Episode 11. Kazuya was preparing himself for the duel, and they were analyzing their ranges of attack while Tsunao was sparring with the god of her region, Honoka. Kotetsu tried to tell her not to underestimate Kazuya, but she was too thick-headed to listen to him. Kazuya is having a bath with his obi after training. They've really abused this boy all the way. Kiriha tells him about the water dolls that Kukuri would use to protect the fighters. They would break when they've accumulated a certain amount of damage, but they don't protect the Tsukumogami. Kazuya promises to protect her and make sure she doesn't get hurt. They go to bed, and Kiriha tells him that he's done well in their 1 week of practice. She also tells him that he's free to do some fondling and be a man, but that won't be possible considering she sleeps like a lost dog. Kazuya has a dream and is discussing with his mom about Kiriha. His mom then plays all the naughty scenes he's been through with different girls, and even encourages him to experiment with Kiriha a bit. What kind of a mother is this? He woke up while he was still trying to figure out who his mother was. That part of his memory was still sealed. Kazuya and Tsunao then arrive at the location for their battle. They both steal their resolves, and the fight begins with Kukuri overseeing it. Kazuya is able to keep Tsunao on her toes and lands the first hit on her. Honoka even comes to watch the fight, but not with his real body. Kotetsu tried to advise her master, but he got shoved to the side as usual. Miss Gorilla was able to counter Kazuya's strategy and unleashed consecutive attacks. Kazuya started running away like a wuss to get some distance and think of a new plan, but Tsunao was hot on his tail. Kiriha got hurt, and Kazuya was about to kiss his job goodbye with Tsunao's final strike. He managed to use a new technique by weaving 2 hands from Kiriha and countering the sword strike. Episode 12. Kazuya was back on the offensive, and Tsunao took the high road to get some distance and catch her breath. She managed to counter some attacks, and they were both at a point where the next hit would determine the winner. Kazuya had a higher chance of winning if he stayed back and defended, but decided to rush forward and beat Tsunao at her own game. That's what I'm talking about. He was so in sync with Kiriha that they got into a state called divine possession, and he looked pretty badass. He wrapped the silk around his arms and went Bruce Lee style against Tsunao. The clash was so intense, but Kazuya emerged the winner and broke her water doll. She deserved it for being so stubborn. Tsunao accepted defeat and removed her sorry butt from the scene with Honoka. It seems she was worried about Kotetsu despite her harsh treatment towards him. Meanwhile, Kiriha was bragging about their victory to Kukuri, and they got into their usual argument when Kazuya dropped like a stone from exhaustion. They got back home, and Kazuya lay in bed like a dead man due to the after effects of divine possession. Luckily, it didn't happen during their fight. That would have been horrible. Kukuri had to feed Kazuya and was really enjoying the feeling of being newlywed. Kiriha used the opportunity to get her to bathe him, but she was quite shy. She eventually did it while Kazuya was blindfolded, and Kiriha smothered him with her melons as well. So many scenarios where this guy really ends up in the slammer. They finished the bath and got into bed. Kukuri fell fast asleep while Kiriha used the opportunity to have Kazuya's windpipe to herself. Kukuri woke up the next morning to find both of them naked in bed, but wanted details of what happened, including his sister. Crazy girls everywhere in this house. The next morning, Kazuya left for school, and Kiriha didn't follow. She seemed to have planned something with the goddess. Meanwhile, Tsunao was getting chewed out by her mom for losing the duel, and Kotetsu being damaged. She tells her daughter that the only way she can restore her rights to the house is to marry Kazuya. Just like that, another girl is going to be all over his third leg. Kazuya got to school and heard the news of a new transfer student. Shiru is hoping the person has an unrealistic size of melons. No wonder girls kept rejecting him. Their teacher enters the class and introduces Kiriha as the new student. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content.